All right, in this episode, we talk about the glove side.
And don't be an early trunk rotator.
All right, Brent Porcio, Stephen Godana here at the @TopVelocity #PitchingTips Show. Where you go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, @TopVelocity #PitchingTips. You ask your question, we answer on the show. Anything on pitching, anything we do here at Top Velocity, we do our best to give you the best answer we have here. And if you want to learn more about what we do here, go to topvelocity.net. Check out our 3X programs, 2X programs as well. Like I said, we're getting close to episode 100 where we want to open it up to baseball questions. So if you have any questions on our 2X programs, which is position player, throwing velocity, 60s. We haven't gotten into hitting yet, but push us. We'd like to talk more about that. So what's our question for today?
Hans Hannes asks, the non-dominant arm helps for a faster shoulder rotation. What are the timing and the exact movement path?
All right, so I want to be very clear on the glove side non-dominant arm as far as shoulder rotation. It should not be used to create shoulder rotation. It will support it, because it's like a fulcrum, it's the pivot point, right? So when we land, basically we want to just lock it down. We want to create something off that front hip that everything can rotate around, specifically the shoulders can rotate around. So I don't like overloading the scap because then we go into early trunk rotation. So what we're trying to do is when we hit front foot, we want the hips all the way through and we want the shoulders closed. It creates torque through the core. Okay, that creates a delay in the shoulder rotation, delay in the trunk, which should help us release more energy, multiply more forces, more time to put more force behind the ball, basically. When we hit front foot, we want the throwing arm, throwing scap loaded and back. More horizontal abduction behind the back is ideal. But in the glove side, if I go too far, then I go into early trunk rotation. So I want to avoid loading this scap. I do want it back a little bit, because I want it to be prepared to load. But there is studies that show more horizontal movement in the glove side is more common of low velocity pitchers than high velocity pitchers. High velocity pitchers tend to want to just turn over in this position and kind of tuck down. They are not pulling that, because then that creates a rotation, a purely rotational upper body, and that would kill the linear trunk movements that are so critical to ball speed. So be very careful with the glove side. I like to initially use it to keep, to line me up, keep me closed. And then when I hit front foot, it loads, just starts to load. But if you look at high velocity guys that get a lot of hip to shoulder separation, we still see the glove side. So it's obviously not pulling too hard, because that would be early trunk rotation, as you can see here. So just a little pinch, little horizontal abduction, okay? And then once you separate hips and shoulders, then it needs to turn over, basically turn that glove side over, as the trunk has a more catapulting effect as opposed to a rotational effect. So how it's going to support it is it's going to act as that fulcrum, lock more down or tuck more down to create that fulcrum, as opposed to pulling across your body. Okay, so that's a big negative, is any left to right movements on the horizontal plane. That's a low velocity pitcher who's going to be very rotational. You're going to just have a little load, turn it over into hip to shoulder separation, once your trunk's ready to go, and then you're going to get shoulder rotation, or it's going to act as a fulcrum and support shoulder rotation, but then it's going to allow it to keep going into trunk rotation as well. Hey, that was Washington. We were just talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's it. That's pretty much the glove side. I don't want to see anyone also try to use it to create shoulder rotation. Shoulder rotation should be a product of the linear power in the lower half off the mound or off the rubber, stabilized at front foot, turning into torque at hip to shoulder separation, and then that creates the shoulder rotation. Basically, the action is the hip to shoulder separation, the delay of the trunk being pulled away from the hip and then trying to catch up with the hip, not the glove side pulling. That's overcompensation. So if I see anyone pulling aggressively here, overcompensation, I need to put like a little thing like
Scary
thing
overcompensation.
Yeah, overcompensation. This right here. Overcompensation. Okay? It should just be right here, hits, turns over, and then boom, and then the trunk projects from there. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, just the glove side pull or the overcompensation, early trunk rotation. There was a study that was saying that was a huge link to UCL injury, shoulder injury, stuff like that. So it is something to take pretty seriously to keep stress off your arm. You do want the more catapult effect to use the kinetic chain, not be so rotational with the upper body so that you can really take stress off the arm, keep a healthier arm path as well.
Yeah, because this is what causes early trunk rotation. It is a big no-no, big negative for injury. Is once we pull this, if we pull this too early, then this guy gets caught dragging around, gets, horizontally abducted, puts added torques in the elbow, added torques in the front of the shoulder, okay? And then it creates that rotational trunk and not that linear trunk that all high velocity guys do so well, is the linear movements, the forward trunk movements, okay, as they get over their front leg, right?
Yeah, and a lot of high velocity guys still do early rotate too. It's something that not just low velocity pitchers do. So it's something that even they would need to correct for to keep their arms healthier. So
yeah, early trunk rotation can hurt velocity, but more important, it's hard on the arm.
Strasburg, right?
Strasburg was a big scapula to early trunk rotator, and UCL problems. A lot of UCL problems are going to come from early trunk rotation. So the point is yeah, you can pull that glove side, still throw hard, but it's not going to be efficient and it's not going to be effective both for you trying to develop high ball speed and stay healthy. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's the best way to use the glove side. Good question. If you have got a question, go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, @TopVelocity, #pitching tips, ask your question, we answer it on the show. And if you want to start bringing in some baseball questions, bring in just general baseball questions, check out topvelocity.net for our 3X programs. Guys, help us get this out there. Share, follow, subscribe. We want more guys be able to get on here, ask you questions, and keep this going. And we'll see you on the next episode.